Hello and welcome to another video or podcast, depending on whether you're watching this on YouTube or listening on your favorite podcast player. So today we are continuing the series on so you want to become a forest school leader or run a forest school business. So in previous episodes we have covered everything from deciding whether you really want to be a forest school leader or run a forest school business. It's not for everyone. And we've covered finding your audience, finding a venue, and now we hit probably the most boring and time-consuming part of the whole process, and that is getting your policies, procedures, and all of the qualifications and everything that you need to get going as a business. So first of all, I'm going to assume that if you've gotten to this point in the series, you've gotten to this point in setting up your business, you've already pretty much halfway through your forest school training. So you're at least ready to run your initial sessions, so on. Because that is the main qualification that you need, is forest school, to be able to run forest school sessions. Or something equivalent. So if we're looking at Bushcraft Competency Awards, something that really qualifies you to be able to use tools and fire with children and other clients. So I'm going to assume that is a basic qualification at this point. After that, we have next most important is going to be your insurance. So getting insured for running the activities you are looking at. In most cases, I'm going to say that you're probably going to want to go with Burnbeck as an insurance platform. At least initially, they are probably the standard for forest school, and you get a discount if you're part of the FSA and so on. So that's a really good place to start. There are others. There's several sport ones. So if you are on the more bushcrafty side of the spectrum, or you're planning on doing more of the adventure side of it, more trips and travels and camping, then it's well worth looking at a multi-activity policy with another organization. But like with most insurance policies, shop around, get a couple of different quotes. To start the process with insurance, what you are going to need is a list of the activities you're going to undertake. So this means just sitting down and going, these are the things I'd like to do. You can just say just forest school, but within that you've also got to be thinking about, do I want to encourage tree climbing to a certain height? Do I want to make zip lines and things? Do I want to basically do things like pond dipping? Do I want to be able to play in streams and rivers? Do I want to be able to take them on field trips places? Do we want to do overnight camps? You want a list of things that you are going to do. Are you going to do tree felling with your more advanced groups? Those are all options that you are going to be asked when you apply for a quote from the insurance, because they want to know exactly what you're doing. So it helps to sit down, get a list of those, and that way you know what you're looking to do and what you're looking to get insured for. If you want to do something like pewter casting, it's a completely different ballpark to standard forest school activities, and you're going to need the insurance to cover you for that. So that, as I said, this is not going to be the most fascinating episode, but I'll try and move through it as quickly as I can and give you some helpful tips and hints on what to do. So moving back to qualifications, once you have your initial forest school, that's also going to be requiring your outdoor first aid. It's good to have a pediatric addition to that, so outdoor and pediatric 16-hour course. You'll be required to do that as part of your forest school training. But if you haven't updated that, that's something to get onto. As not required by your insurance, but good option as well, the other two to look at are your food hygiene. This is really simple. You can find a cheap online course that will do it just fine. They're very affordable, take you maybe an hour or two, but getting a level 2 in food hygiene is really important. This is something that's a bigger area of growth. I know that Now, I think forest schools are more readily being recognized as food businesses if you actually cook something and serve it to people that can be thought of as customers. But it's just worth knowing, worth having in your back pocket, worth being qualified. And then the other one is safeguarding, which is of course really important. I'll feed into something later. So we get qualified, we get insurance, and then we need basic policies, procedures, and risk assessments. So risk assessments, once you know where your site is, once you know who you're working with, once you know what your goals and aims are, and once you know what your insurance will cover you for, then you can look at the risk assessments for this. And now that I can do an entire episode, and I have done, on risk assessment. So if you want a bit more feedback on that, I will try and leave links to all of these somewhere else. Yeah, go out, ask other people for help, look at other people's risk assessments, think about what your personal practice is going to be, what you feel safe doing. If other people say 1 adult to 6 kids and you feel using knives and you feel it should be 1-to-1, make it 1-to-1. This is your professional procedure. You can always change it, and you should. Risk assessments should be dynamic. They should change as you go through the seasons. The risk assessments I wrote when I just finished my training are completely different to the risk assessments I use now, because my practice has developed, my skills have developed, and this should be a reflection of it. So moving on, we have next policy. You need to think about your emergency procedures. What are you going to do if you need to vacate a site, if a child gets lost, if someone gets injured? Besides the first aid, how is the group going to be looked after? Now, this may well be part of your forest school handbook, and a standard forest school handbook is actually a good starting point for most of these policies. Once you've written that, I don't think anyone has ever really read my forest school handbook. They're not the best. Most parents won't sit down and read through an entire handbook before they send their children somewhere. Some will, but I'd say the majority of people just want to know that you're qualified, competent, and insured. And as long as you can communicate that and the core things that you expect from them, making sure the children are appropriately dressed, that they have snacks and drinks, and that basically they are set up to come out for a day at forest school. Those are the key things. Those are the things you'll need to communicate, but it's good to have wider policies. Now, the best partner in this journey for making policies, I believe, is an AI program. So ChatGPT or similar. That's a really good starting point. You can basically say, this is what I want the policy for, this is what I want it to cover, and then it'll give you a basic one. So don't just copy and paste that straight out. Read through it, modify it, but ChatGPT is great at giving you the starting point for policies and tailoring it to you. Because you can search online, but you won't find anything as tailored as something that ChatGPT can write for you. So use these tools now. They are out there available. It's a good idea to use them if you feel comfortable. So that will get you started on policies. So as I said, first policy is your emergency procedures. Next one is going to kind of be your level of service policy. So this differs depending on who your client base is and who your customers are. And it breaks down into 2 main types. You have organizations. If you are a freelancer and you're going to a school or a charity or another organization and you're offering your services to them, they're the point of contact for bringing the audience to you. Then you need to have laid down in your policies what you will provide when you will provide it. So this will cover things like what happens if you have gale force winds, if you have thunderstorms, if you are ill. What are what is covered in those terms and conditions. Are you still going to be paid if there has to be an emergency cancellation, or which circumstances would you run or not run? It's just getting that customer supplier agreement in writing, saying what you will provide, how you will provide it, setting any sort of stipulations on when your invoices will be paid, all of that sort of stuff. No, fascinating topic, but important to get right. Then on the other side of that, if you're working directly with customers and they are paying you for a session, then you need a really good refund and cancellation policy. So deciding who cancels, what happens. I generally have it that if a customer cancels within 24 hours of the session, then they are still charged the full price. I will sometimes, basically as goodwill, I will sometimes still refund that. I will sometimes offer them to transfer to a different session, to a different time. There's options there, but this is core 24 hours. Outside of that, usually offer a refund. If I cancel it, I will always offer either a replacement or a refund. I'll make that extremely clear. But just setting out what happens if it gets rained off, if you get sick, it's making those clear. When can the customers ask for a refund, and when will they be expecting one, or a replacement or gift card or gift voucher? Whether it's a full refund, will go on a credit to be used with the company. Lay that out, get that all sorted. Then, how am I missing anything? I'm just going to check. So we've done safeguarding policy. That's the other one you need. What happens when things go wrong? What happens when you have a disclosure? If it's just you, if you're just a one-man band, who else do you have out there to support you? Who else can you, if it's something involving you, then you may want, then the parents or the children who are involved with it may well need to be able to go to a different organization. So having that as a policy, so people know where to go, this is an important part of being a professional, particularly if you're working with vulnerable adults or children. So safeguarding policy, this is part of your safeguarding training. So if you go and do safeguarding training, you'll likely get a better idea of this is how it works. Again, ChatGPT, great starting point. And once you've got all of those set and done, you are pretty much ready to go. So you have your qualifications, which is your forest school or equivalent. You have your first aid, and then ideally food hygiene and safeguarding. So insurance, your policies on refund and level of service, your risk assessment, your policy for refunds, I've already said that, and emergency procedures. So that all those together, once you have all of those policies, you're pretty much good to go. And then we can move on to talking about setting your rates and finding customers in the future. So I hope you found that helpful. Like I say, it's a very dry subject, but these are the important things that you need to know. I will see if I can get a list up somewhere of all of these. If you would like any help with finding the right direction, finding the right resources, do get in touch with me. I'm always happy to help people who are looking to set up business. So with that, I will say thank you so much for watching and listening. Do check out the rest of the playlist if you haven't already, and like I say, there'll be a link to the full playlist down in the description below, or you can just scroll down on episodes on your podcast players. Thank you so much for watching and listening. Remember to make the most of every day, and I'll catch you all next time.